Hi there, and continuing with all my upscaled projects, today we're going to build the set which I'm going to upscale next, and take a look at the parts which I think are going to be really easy to build, the parts that are going to be a bit of a challenge, and the parts which currently I have absolutely no idea how we're going to make. And an absolute pristine version of that set from 1979 is in this box, so we're going to open it up and have a look. Now, my upscaling of LEGO parts and sets started a year ago at the beginning of 2025, when LEGO released the Upscale Octane Racing Driver, which inspired me to build my upscale classic space buggy. Then after building a couple of accessories like the envelope tile and the suitcase, I had a vote on my community page on which set I should upscale next, and the clear winner was the Classic Town Mini Loader set, which had 3 more parts than the space buggy did and had the massive challenge of that scoop at the front. And more recently, of course, I've built the classic pirate treasure chest, and there's going to be an update video on that in a few weeks' time with some upgrades to the existing chest. And in the second video where I built the lid to the chest, I did announce the next set which I'm going to be upscaling, and that's what we're going to build today. But just before we open up that box, a very quick shout out to my channel members. Thank you so much for your support, it really is appreciated, and specifically now more than ever because this next project is going to cost me an awful lot of money. So if anyone else watching would like to become a channel member and get your name on a brick in my videos, you can click on the join button below or the link in the description and it'll tell you how. Alternatively, if you'd like to support the channel but not become a member, you can help buy some bricks by giving me a super chat or a super thanks in the comments below, or even easier than that, if you're buying anything from lego.com, please use my affiliate link in the description below. It doesn't cost you anything, but LEGO give me a small commission on everything that people buy. So thanks again to everyone who does those things, it really does help the channel out. But let's open up that box and see what I've got myself into. Now this is the second of 2 sets which I bought from a seller who bought a whole bunch of classic LEGO sets brand new in their boxes. But he didn't want to keep them in the boxes, so he instantly lost a lot of his investment, opened the boxes and built the sets. And after he'd built the sets, he put them on display in lovely Perspex cases in his house. But about a year later, he decided he needed the space and would sell these sets on. They were all from the late 70s and early 80s, but effectively they were brand new because they'd only been taken out of their boxes, built and put on display. So he carefully took them all apart, packed them up and sold them all on eBay, at which point I spotted them and bought a couple. So he had thrown away his boxes, but he still had the instructions and he's packed them up lovingly as well. And you can see from the late 70s, this is the classic set 675 and it was called Snack Bar. So I'm hoping, as with the other set, all these parts are going to be in absolute pristine condition. So we're going to open up each package and have a look at them. So after getting everything out, it's really difficult to show you in detail, but these pieces really do look absolutely brand new. For example, these 2 1x6s, one of them is from 1979 and one of them is a piece that I bought brand new off Bricklink this week. And if I didn't know which was which, I really don't think I'd be able to tell the difference. I think the only thing that gives it away is a slight difference in the mould between the anti-studs underneath. It's also really good to see pieces in the old grey colour which are in such good condition, which are becoming quite rare these days. But just before we start building, a tiny bit of LEGO trivia. This was one of the first sets with the new style minifigures which had articulated arms and legs, instead of the old 1970s minifigures where they were stuck to the side of their torsos. And as such, the new male hairpiece hadn't been made yet. And as you can see in the pictures, it looks quite different to the one we actually ended up with. And that's because they used the female hairpiece which had been around for years and just without the pigtails on the end. But by the time the set had been released, their hair had been styled over the top of the ears and he'd been given a parting. So in step 1, we start with the green base plate and we add 5 white bricks. In step 2, we add 5 more bricks and 2 plates. In step 3, we really go to town and we add 7 white bricks, that long light grey plate and also a 2x3 black plate. In step 4, we add 4 more bricks, a 1x4 plate hidden around here and also a 2x2 slope, and of course that classic minifigure door. In step 5, we add 3 more regular white bricks and of course those 2 wonderful printed ice cream bricks, as well as some 1x1 round bricks on the shelf and a 1x2 transparent plate on top of the slope. Now, because back then the 1x10 brick didn't exist, in step 6 we have to build one, and we build it out of a lot lot of 1x4 and 1x6 plates. Then in step 7 we add that to the front as well as 2 more bricks on the sides. Then in step 8 we add 3 blue plates for the roof, and in my planning it's a step which is proving to be incredibly expensive. Then in step 9 we've got that wonderful snack bar sign on the roof, we've got a couple of mugs and a 2x2 tile, the snack bar sign and a pine tree. And hopefully we'll end up with an absolutely ginormous snack bar which you can take apart and put together just like the original mini set. Now starting off with that lovely green base plate, it's obviously thinner than regular plates and we're going to make our upscaled version the same. Now because it's 8x16, that means the upscaled version is going to end up being 48x96, which is going to be 3 of these 32x32 base plates in a row with 3 16x32 base plates underneath. And then I'm going to hold all that together with some regular plates, and I said in my last video I was going to use these 4x4 round bricks as the studs. However, this has been troubling me as all my previous upscale projects that I've made have all been tiled off and smooth like this. But I've decided if we're going to do this thing, let's do it properly. So instead of using the 4x4 round bricks, we're going to use plates and tiles. So as I don't have any of the green parts yet, this is just an example. We're going to use 2 4x4 round plates, a 2x2 round tile, and then 4 2x2 macaroni tiles around the edge. But because there are 128 studs, we are going to need an awful lot of these pieces. We're going to need 128 of those tiles in the middle, we're going to need 256 of the plates, and 512 of the macaroni pieces. And this is one of those unusual cases where buying those parts on Bricklink isn't going to be cost effective. And that's because in the UK there aren't enough pieces to buy. And if there are, they're going to be spread across a lot of sellers and I'm going to get charged with an awful lot of postage. So to show my commitment to this project, this week I bit the bullet and I ordered all these parts from the Pick-a-Brick on Lego.com. And all these parts together on Lego.com cost about £1 each. So with 128 studs, the entire order was just over £132, which hopefully you'll quickly see why I'm going to need an awful lot of support on this project, when the studs alone in the first video are going to cost over £100. But enough about the cost on the first part of step 1, let's add those 5 bricks to it. Now first of all we've got a 1x1 brick, and I've built one of those already so we know what they're going to be like. But this week in Bricklink Studio I also planned out the other 3 bricks. Now with the white studs we can build it in the same way as I did for the grey studs on my space buggy, using the 4x4 round bricks with the indent in the middle and this 3x3 round tile in the middle. And then using 2x4 tiles on the top and regular bricks and plates on the side, this piece is going to come together using 174 different parts. Now if I use used parts, Bricklink estimates that's going to cost about £16. However, I have no control over how sun damaged or scratched or bitten and chewed those parts are going to be. So I've also decided I'm only going to use new parts where they're going to be visible. So each of our bricks will have a nice shiny finish. And building this in new parts, the price jumps from £16 to about £28. Using the 2x4 as another example, that's got slightly less pieces. It's going to take about 138 parts. And used that would cost £13, but new is going to cost about £20. And when step 1's finished, it's going to look like this, only a lot bigger. Now because the majority of this set is going to be white, every time I've placed a Bricklink order recently and they've had some cheap white new bricks for sale, I've been adding them to my order. So I've already got quite a large stash of 1x4s, 1x6s and 1x8s, but I'm sure I'm going to need a lot more. With a special snack bar wanted list on Bricklink, I've also been keeping an eye out for these really useful round bricks. And recently I found a guy on Bricklink who is selling 90 of them at a very reasonable price, less than anyone else in the UK, so I bought all 90 off him. The other important part for smoothing off are these 2x4 tiles. Now these aren't cheap either on Bricklink or on Lego.com's Pick-a-Brick. But also fortunately just before Christmas on my local Lego store Pick-a-Brick wall they had 2x4 smooth tiles. And with over 100 white studs which I'm going to have to build, I'm going to need over 500 of these, and fortunately I can fit 538 in this box. And with a Pick-a-Brick box costing £16, that's the whole of those sorted for the entire build. So that's most of the white studs already sorted. I just need to keep my eye out for a lot of these 3x3 round tiles. Now with step 2 I said we've got all these bricks and a couple of plates, and we've got templates for all of these already built. I've built a 1x2 before on the mini loader. I haven't actually designed the 1x6 yet, but we also used a 2x3 plate for the mini loader in black. Now the second layer of bricks will be held in place by gravity absolutely fine. However, these plates won't. They will be on here and they'll have their majority of the plate sticking out over the side here, and they will easily just fall off because we won't have the clutch power to hold them in place. So along this edge of the 2x4 brick we're going to have to keep some studs visible and not tile the whole thing so that the plates will have something to grip onto. Now the bricks for step 3, more of the same, there's nothing new here, plus also another 2x3 brick which I've already built one before. But the fun bit is going to be that 2x8 plate. And of course it'll have to be built in new light grey instead of old light grey. Now with 2/3 of the black plate sitting on top of the white plates, I'm pretty sure that that one's going to hold itself in place on its own. But it does mean whatever studs I leave open to hold those white plates in place, it's also going to have to hold the weight of the black plate as well. But we are going to have the weight of the 1x1 bricks behind and also the shelf to help counterbalance that. On to step 4, and we've got a 1x6 and some 1x1s, so nothing new again. But we do have the 2x2 black slope. But I know this is possible because I made a 2x2 grey slope for the upscaled space buggy. Just realised one of those 1x1s is actually a 1x2, and we also have that 1x4 plate as the shelf behind the slope. And that slope adds more weight to those 2x3 plates, so we're really going to have to secure them firmly to the brick below. And then lastly for step 4, we've got that lovely red door, which I don't really want to talk about right now. At the moment I'm thinking this is going to be the trickiest part to make. It's incredibly thin, it's got some amazing details. That hollow stud at the bottom is one of the reasons why I realised we're going to have to make the green base plate studless, otherwise it wouldn't be able to turn. And then the whole thing's got to be sturdy enough that it actually holds itself together without falling apart when you try and open it. And as I can feel my head starting to hurt just thinking about building this piece, I'm going to put it in place, and if I'm really lucky, someone will travel back in time and this piece will get removed from the inventory of this set back in the 1970s. But there is a slight chance that that might not happen. So just getting the parts ready for step 5, and I was really sad because I thought I was missing a 1x1 brick, and it would be horrific to have to replace it with a brand new 1x1 brick. But luckily, there it is hiding in the bag. And then we come to those wonderful classic ice cream bricks, and if you look at them close you can see how beautiful they are. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to scan these in at high res and build large versions of them in Photoshop, and then I'm going to laser print some stickers and stick them to the final bricks. I'm going to have to buy some fairly large sticker sheets to do those in one piece, but I'm sure that Amazon can help me out there. And then inside we've got some ketchup and mustard round bricks, and in this set they were the hollow stud version, but in the instructions it shows them as the solid stud version. So depending on part availability I'll decide which version I'm going to make in the final build, because in the late 70s probably some of these sets came with the solid stud versions and other with the hollow stud. And then the last piece for step 5 is this tiny innocent looking 1x2 transparent plate. And although plates are really easy to make, making one out of transparent bricks is not easy to make due to the limited parts that LEGO make in this colour. So we may have to make a few compromises, especially with those studs on top, but that's weeks away, let's not worry about it now. Now step 6, as I said earlier, is making our 1x10 brick, which doesn't actually exist yet in the late 1970s. Now I could cut a corner here and make a 1x10 brick, but I think that would be cheating, and we are going to be true to the original set and make it out of plates. And I have two options: either I can leave some studs showing on the top of the plates, so each plate's got something to connect to the one below, but I might try and see first if the friction of the pieces will hold itself together without sagging in the middle. But either way, that goes on top of the ice cream bricks with a 1x6 on each side. And then we come to what I like to call expensive step number 8, where we add these 3 plates on top of the snack bar as its roof. Now blue is another colour where we're going to have to build the studs out of tiles and plates instead of bricks. Now the only piece going on top of the blue roof is the snack bar sign. So originally I was thinking the whole of the blue roof was going to be studded and this piece would just be stuck on top of it. And it wouldn't be easily removable like all the other parts. But like I said, if we're going to do it, let's do it properly. So at some point I'm also going to have to order all these parts in blue. And with my preliminary searches on Bricklink, I think I'm going to come across the exact same problem with the blue as I did with the green. There just aren't enough of these pieces in blue on Bricklink. So at some point before step 8, I'm going to have to take the plunge and order all these parts in blue on Lego.com's Pick-a-Brick. It's going to be slightly cheaper than our green plate because we're 2 studs shorter, so we've only got 112 studs instead of 128. But because it's the thickness of a plate and not a base plate, we're going to have to build it 6 plates thick. So there will be some extra plates and a lot of blue bricks to order as well. Now these 2 plates may not be the most secure in the build, but I'm hoping that with most of them being on top of these white bricks underneath, they will hold themselves in place. And with the blue plate being so long as it can hold itself together on its own, it should rest on top quite happily. And then finally, step 9, some fun little pieces and also some giant pains in the neck. 2 more round bricks, easy peasy. We've already built those for the mini loader, and I will have already built some in step 5. 2 red cups, similar to a round brick, but for the handle to attach to them and for them to sit on a stud, we are going to have to make a few compromises. But hopefully they'll still look great. I'm not entirely sure what it's meant to be, but a 2x2 white tile. And thank goodness I bought far more of those 2x4 white tiles on the Pick-a-Brick wall than I needed. So this piece should be easy and sorted. Another fairly easy part, but one that I'm really looking forward to doing is the 1x8 snack bar sign. Now this text is obviously printed on, however I'm not going to use a colour printer like I'm going to use for the ice cream bricks, but instead I'm going to use a technique which I've used for things in the past, like this Coca-Cola train tanker wagon, and also my Duracell version. And if we take a really close look, hopefully you'll be able to see that this is actually cut vinyl which has then been stuck on top of the bricks. And this is perfect to use in things which are all the same colour. So all that I'll need to do is, again, scan the brick in and then cut it out in vinyl and stick it on in one piece. And I have just noticed that there is a slight white mark on the letter C. So before I cut the vinyl for this, I'm going to have to investigate that, see if that's a printing error on my brick, if it was on all the bricks, or in fact this brick has been slightly damaged. Then we come to the snack bar sign. Now as it's not part of the building, I was considering leaving this and the pine tree out of the build. However, if I did that, I wouldn't be able to bear to look at my comments section because I would get so many complaints. So the top is fairly easy to do. That's just going to be a big white wall, and then we're going to use vinyl again for the black lettering and the red arrow. It's mounted on a bar, and we know that that bar can fit in a minifig hand. Because of that, we know its dimensions. It's got to be a 2x2 round brick, just like the aerial that I made for the Upscaled classic space buggy. It widens out at the bottom to the size of a stud, so we know that's going to be a 4x4 round brick, and ends up as a 1x2 plate without any ends on. However, it does have these weird chamfers on it, which are also going to be quite a challenge. And if I very, very slowly move the pine tree out of shot, no one will notice that it was ever in the set. And then look, we've finished the snack bar. The set is complete. Now this piece is just mental. We have curves going round, we have angles going up and down, and it's all based around a tiny spindly 4x4 round column. And that's before we get onto the fact that it's made in green, which, as I've found out from the base plate, isn't a cheap colour to buy. But this piece alone is obviously going to keep you hanging on right till the end, as that's the last piece we're going to have to build. And by then, if I haven't gone mad, had a nervous breakdown, or indeed just died of old age, we might have a go at building an upscaled version of that chef's hat. So there we have it. It's a 9-step instruction booklet, and initially I thought it was going to be 9 videos. However, there are some parts in there which are probably going to need an entire video or two to their own, especially the door, the snack bar sign, and that tree. And I'd like to at this point give special thanks to the 1970s Lego designer for deciding to put a pine tree in the snack bar set. Thanks a lot. So as always, please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I still manage to reply to every comment I get, and I love chatting to you about the things I'm building. Also, if there's any way you can help support this build and the channel, I would really appreciate that. Like I said, you could either become a channel member, leave a super thanks or a super chat in the comments below, or if you're buying from lego.com, you could use my affiliate link. If you've liked this video, please do give it a thumbs up, or you could use the hype button. Both of those help get this video out to other people who may not have seen my channel. And the more views that I get on a video also helps with the cost of the project. So I'm really looking forward to this build, and I hope you're going to come along with me on the journey. And most importantly, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe for more LEGO videos.